Okay, welcome back. This is part 2 of our flow painting mixing medium. So we started where you had the canvas where we put the flow medium and the white acrylic paint on top and mix them together. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit more flow medium with the white acrylic paint, and we're going to pour it on the canvas, and I'm going to make 3 circles. And you can do any pattern that you want, but I'm going to start with these 3 circles, and I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm just pouring it, and what I'm doing is after I put the 3 circles down, I'm going to make maybe 3 more. So, and at the top, I'm going to make some smaller circles. Now, you don't have to make the circles the size that I did. You can do just 3 circles, you can do 6 circles. You can do more circles if you want, but I just want to show you what happens when we add the paint and the circles. So this is what it looks like. So we have this canvas, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I added a little bit of, let me see here, 9 circles. Okay. So once we have our circles, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix a little bit of GAC in our color. For me, my GAC medium, again, the GAC 800, right? And we have equal amounts of that. And what I did is I mixed my craft paints, and I mixed the color purple. Now, if you weren't here with me before, I stated that if you have paint that comes like in a tube, what you're going to have to do is, if it's not very watery, you're going to have to thin it out a little bit and then put it in the cup and then add your GAC to it. But if you have a craft paint, they come watery, so you don't have to worry about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of purple right on top of my white dots. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it very carefully where I leave some of the white dot exposed on top. So I'm going to show you in a minute. And remember, you have to do this when the canvas is wet underneath. So what I've done is I have these white areas, and as you can see, I have purple in the middle. That's all, right? So purple in the middle of a white area. Then you could make another color. I think I'm going to do maybe blue. Right? I'm going to take a little bit of this light blue, and I'm going to mix it again with my GAC medium in here, and I then am going to take this color. I didn't clean my jar, so it might not really be all green, and I'm going to mix it with my GAC medium really well and stir it up, you know, and then I'm going to put the green on top of the purple. So now I have this purple, right, and I have this green on top, and I have little bits of green, and I'll show you. I'm pouring this very carefully on top. Okay, and now I have these areas where they are white underneath, purple, and green, okay? And you really have to think about your colors ahead of time, because you have to do all of this while the canvas underneath is wet. All right, so this, otherwise it won't work. If this whole white canvas, when we did with the large brush, if it's not wet, it won't move. So what we're going to do is we're going to tilt it down, and this is where it gets messy. Okay, so we're going to tilt it down, and you'll see it's starting to move. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn the canvas around so you can see, and then we're going to tilt it the other way down. And we're not going to let it fall all the way to the edge. And then we're going to tilt it to the side. And we're going to keep doing that, and you don't want the medium to really fall all the way off the canvas. You want to keep tilting it. Just keep tilting it very slowly. And you're just letting it run down a little bit, not that much, and then you kind of want to rotate it, and you're going to go the other way. And then you're going to rotate it, and you're going to go the other way, and you're just going to keep doing that very slowly. Now the thing is, remember, you see where the white area is? If I were to use black, those colors underneath would really pop, right? But the secret is that when we covered the canvas, you have to put a lot of GAC 800 mixed with your color underneath for the colors to move. The colors will not move. And again, if you have an acrylic regular paint that comes in the tube, you just have to dilute it a little bit with water, okay? Don't use any other medium, just use water and just dilute it, just where it's a little bit. You can see how this is more, it looks almost kind of wet. And you can do a bunch of these. You can add color on top. You can also, when this dries, you can put resin on top. If you put resin, it will actually look like glass. So that's the cool thing about resin. It will dry and it will look like glass. And you just want to keep doing this. You're just going to keep rotating it around. Keep rotating it. And you just have to really be patient with it. And it starts coming out. You can see how the colors are moving. You know, you could even take a paintbrush and swirl in the middle. You can even add more color on top. But it's really good if you think about your colors ahead of time, because you'll have a plan. And sometimes you don't need a plan, right? Sometimes you can just start out blindly and see what happens. That's the fun of it. And this is just one way to do a drip flow painting. This is the most simple way. I can show. There are many other ways where we can start adding even more color on top. But this is just for a beginner. If you just wanted to start with something and you didn't want to go that much into detail, it's pretty simple. Okay, so I will show you as we're moving. And you know, I tell students when they're doing this just to relax, you know, maybe listen to their favorite music. You know, you can do it if you want. You can have a bunch of friends over. It's always a fun exercise to do. So you can see how it's dripping down. But it's basically coming out. It's coming to be, okay? And the other thing is, when you're letting this dry, you're going to have to get a surface, like a box, to put underneath. Because if you stick this canvas to your watercolor paper on the bottom, or I'm working again on a shower curtain liner, you'll never get it up. It will stay. So you want to have a box or a coffee can or something that you can put underneath. If you don't have that, you know, you can put one of your glasses underneath and just kind of set it like that. In other words, the canvas just cannot stick to anything at this point. You'll never get it off the surface, okay? And it has to dry, and you don't want it to dry standing like this, because the paint will still be moving. So we'll hold it back so you can see. I'll move this around the camera here so you can see a little bit of better idea of what it looks like. Okay, so it is something you can try at home. It actually comes out, you have to have a lot of patience. You know, the first time you might say, I don't like what it looks like, I'm not really sure, you know, and that's why you can add more colors on top. I tell students to work with their favorite color. You know, when you work with your favorite colors and you start doing the paintings, you're never really going to make a mistake. It also, you could cover it with other colors. It could be the base for another color. You could let that dry and end up putting symbols on top, and you could just be as creative as you want, you know. But now, as far as drying, that needs to dry at least for 24 hours. And the paints do have a tiny bit of a smell, so I would definitely recommend a little bit of ventilation here, but you can kind of see of how it's coming back. And I'll do another video later on where you can see we can change it again. Okay? Thank you for joining me, and see you soon in class.